Welcome to the Guide to Live. It's Monday, November 4th. This is your weekly hangout to join us to talk about live streaming with people who really know what it's like.
Because let's face it, no one really knows what you're talking about if you say you work in live streaming.
Yeah, but we do. So I'm Tara, and across from me is my co-host Ben, and together we make up your Guide to Live.
Yeah, you notice we changed the intro there to people who work in live streaming, because in addition to live streamers, we have people reaching out. It's like quite a few listeners are working in the industry, in different parts of the industry.
Yeah, they don't necessarily live stream, but they are working in the industry.
So this is really for everyone, all sides of it, because we do both. Lots of people do both, and you have to look at this from all sides. So today on the pod, we talk about how to navigate the desire to super serve an existing community versus expanding and constantly finding new viewers and community members. It's a tough one.
Yeah, it is.
And we look at a new way to look at Match and other shows that Live has on in ways that can support your growth as a live creator or even an e-com business.
Yeah, which is growing in itself.
Yeah. So let's get into it.
Let's go. That was a good lunch.
It's my favorite lunch.
I know.
Turkey Reuben sandwiches become my favorite at our pre-recording podcast lunch spot.
Oh, yeah. And I get the Joshua, which just, it sounds really cool.
Talk us through the Joshua.
The Joshua is, it is a grilled chicken breast with 2 slices of bacon, lettuce, tomato, onion on a Kaiser roll.
And what you do
I like mayo.
For the detail lovers amongst the listeners, Tara likes the flavor of the onion, but doesn't like the eating of the onion. So she allows the onion to sit on the bun and the sandwich for a bit. And
to
then
get the flavor, to transfer the flavor.
Raw onion, it's sitting there, and then she transfers it and takes it off.
And then I take it off and I don't eat it. And then the waiter was like, "Oh, did I forget to take, did you ask for no onion?" I was like, "No, I didn't." I said, I didn't ask for no onion. I like the onion on my sandwich. I just don't want to eat it. I like the flavor it leaves, the essence. I like the essence of onion, but I don't necessarily like the actual onion.
Yeah. That's one place locally that we have multiple servers who are like our buddies.
Yeah. Well, they know what we want. They're like the usual. We're like, yeah.
We're their community.
It's like a real
community.
We are their community. We are there. We go to that place to gather amongst their community. We're part of the community.
Right. And we pay to be part of that.
We do. We pay to be part of that community.
Their Reubens
and then giving them gratuity.
Yes. Yeah.
Gratuities.
Yeah. So they are a team, but that is one of the places where we're basically fans of multiple servers. I know you don't really get to choose your server.
No.
Lots of places you might have one server that's your fave. There, I think there's 3 or 4.
Yeah. Well, none of them I don't like. I like all of them. None of them have ever been like, "Oh God, I don't ever want that server again."
Yeah.
I've never had that experience there.
It's well curated.
I think that's really odd that I've never this is the first time I've thought of that it's like been pleasant. I guess when things are pleasant all the time, you don't notice it because it's like, oh, this is It's when it's unpleasant that you notice things.
Yeah. This is kind of like our Cheers place. Where everybody knows your name. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah.
And they're always
so that's basically like a small community when thinking of that as a restaurant, as a lunch spot.
Yeah.
It's a small community, and we go there because we like the vibe that they have created.
We go there to congregate, in our degree of congregation.
And I don't mean this in a bad way. It's not the best food in the world. We're not going there for the food, although the food's good. It's not like, oh, the food. It's all of these
It's
things.
everything. It's like I said, it's like we go there to be part of a community where we have the control over as much of how much we put into the community or engagement.
Right.
Like we're kind of like the people who, if you're in a live stream and we're like a viewer, if we're part of your community, we're going to watch and we're going to comment every now and then, and we're going to heart every now. We're going to tap, and then share a few times. But we're going to be consistent. It'll be every time you go live.
Yeah.
We won't be dropping whales.
No, we won't be dropping.
But,
this is your analogy of how we behave in our local restaurant compared to live streaming. Yeah, I think you're dead on.
Yeah.
But honestly,
every now and then though, if it's like If I want to be a day maker, I know
Uh-huh.
because we do know our servers, or well, I guess that's what you call them now. Yeah. I hate saying that. That sounds bad now. Calling someone your server. Serve me. Like, what do you call them? Just like
Host.
hospitality.
I mean, host.
But
There's some
I
parallels
think
there.
we should call them hosts from now on. Let's movement. Okay, society, call to action.
But live streamers in other territories are called hosts.
They are called hosts. So so in the analogy, they're hosts. Yeah. But sometimes it's their birthday. It's like I'm going to give them like a 50% gratuity now instead of like the typical, or like a 75%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just
instead of your typical 8% you normally give.
Whatever. I've been in the industry. I've been in the service industry. My first jobs were serving tables. I am never ever, like, my standard gratuity is high.
Yeah.
And if you don't, because I don't want to, I never want to be someone who never leaves a tip.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't serve me well and it's bad, you get like 10%.
Yeah.
And if it's really bad, you get 5%. But I'll never leave less than that. I'm trying to make a point.
I don't think I've ever seen you give anything like that.
No, I've never had horrible service.
Yeah. But those communities are limited as well because there's only so many people that they can literally serve.
Right.
Whereas live streaming is more unlimited. It's like having a restaurant where
you're not physically bound to any parameters in live streaming.
Exactly,
so it's expansive.
Yes. It is. There is a limit literally to, like that thing where we say it's like, could you be managing 2 million people in your room? It's like probably the experience wouldn't be the same.
Be fun for you.
So
it wouldn't be fun for the viewers.
Some physical limit there that we don't really know what that limit is.
We don't know it yet. TBA.
Yeah.
Is that how you say it?
TBD.
TBD, to be determined.
TBFO.
I was saying TBA, to be announced.
To be found out.
TBD.
TBFD. TF, the future.
All right, let's get back to what we're talking about. We can go.
No, this is making me think. So if we're talking huge communities, in that instance, kind of an unrealistically large one, some of the things that I've been hearing recently, which I find a very interesting thought experiment to kind of walk through, is like setting up for something like Live Fest.
Yeah.
We're in the warm-up period of Live Fest.
The biggest thing ever. Yeah. One of the biggest ways to get your community involved.
Yeah. But people saying words to the effect of like, my community is too small for Live Fest. Or like, my community doesn't like it when I do that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
I've been hearing that too.
Yeah. And there's I think it's worth just dissecting it a little bit because it feels a tiny bit unhealthy as a way of viewing it because it's quite restrictive.
I think that it counteracts the whole purpose of going live and doing what you do every day. Because like that, your intention is to grow and to expand every time you go live. Like I want to grow my community. Like, every day you go live, you want to grow, right?
Yeah.
And if you start thinking that way, you're going to dig yourself into a hole where it's hard to grow, I think, over time.
It's like expanding community versus super serving an existing community.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very tempting once you get into that first group where it feels a bit safe.
Yes.
To then overly concern yourself with making those people happy.
I think you do it naturally though, because that's your first cohort of like safety. The people who like your people who like congregated towards you, and like you feel a connection with them, and it's a very tight, close connection. And so you feel very loyal to them as they do to you. However, they're not always going to like the things that you do that you need to do as a creator to grow and expand.
Right.
Because what they like that you did, that's fine. But we all know how fast things move in this industry. What you were doing 2 months ago, no one's doing that anymore. Like, they're changing it up constantly.
Yeah. So you would have, like, thinking about something, it comes up with match quite a lot.
Yes.
My community doesn't like it when I do match.
Mm-hmm. It's like, I hear that so many times. Especially,
that's cool. And like, that is a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
So what is stopping you doing match and having a community that enjoys that part of it, and then another overlapping but separate community that enjoys what you do. We hear it with the Totally Awesome Game Show. It's like someone said, I'm not sure if my community would enjoy that. Well, so first of all, they don't have to come watch, but it's an hour's worth of entertainment where you don't have to do anything.
Right.
That's why we generate a game like that.
Yes, it saves you the trouble of prepping and figuring out and using your brain to come up with content of what you're going to do for an hour.
Yeah, and it's designed
to deliver to your community.
Yeah, and it's designed in a way that causes the creators to have to interact to make
with
the
each
show
other.
work, and for the viewers to get involved through different voting and gifting metrics. Right, that's all baked into it. So maybe your core audience wouldn't like that, but you don't have to go on and win. You just have to go on and be on your fantastic self, and the audience from the show or the other people will see you, and now you're building an audience of you doing the thing that you like doing, or that they like doing. It's a separate audience.
You're building like another. You're diversifying yourself into another. Now you have another audience that you can deliver. So you're not constantly doing the same thing all the time. Every so often you can do this. You can divert to this stream, and then you're serving that audience.
Yeah. Here's an analogy.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you have a Hollywood actor, let's say who's a good serious Hollywood actor?
Anthony Hopkins. Okay. Like, I'm a big fan of them as an actor. That doesn't necessarily. So I'll go see Anthony.
I'll go see all of Sir Anthony's movies. Anthony. But that doesn't mean that I'm necessarily going to like him on the late night show that he goes on, that because he's funny and like goofy and is himself,
right?
Or he's some version of himself that he's showing on that show to promote the movie, right? But also himself. Doesn't mean I have to watch that, but he needs to do that to suck up audience that like that kind of entertainment and bring them over to the movie that he just made.
It's like funneling.
It's
funneling audience.
Yeah.
And also, like, you could even like say the same actor, Sir Anthony, is a voice. Say he does a voice character of some crazy cartoon that you would never go see because it's annoying.
Yeah.
But it's him. He's doing it, and all of a sudden there's like a little niche of like super fans that love that stuff, and that serves them.
But then there's people who like it all. So,
why is this beneficial for a creator though? Like,
because you're only able to hit particular audiences when you're live. Like, there's only so many people you can reach. Yeah. And when you're doing a particular thing, like if you have a lot of people in your room who love knitting, you're going to be served mostly people who are kind of roughly into crafty stuff and knitting. But it might be that you're funny as heck, and if you went on and you did battles and you were goofy, or you went on the Totally Awesome Game Show or some other version, there's lots of it. Like Trey from Next Door is doing that on the TikTok live account, and it's basically a variety show. It's amazing to see. He's doing it. It's great. He's doing it really well. Like, TikTok's exploring that. These are places for people to go. And so an audience member on the show like his is getting this double benefit. Like, the show generates revenue, but you're getting exposure. And it might not be the thing that you normally do, but that's okay. You can go back to your crochet knitting stream, and go on his show or tag.
It also, like, as a creator, isn't it some famous person quoted? I don't know who it was, but basically, the day you stop exploring and keeping your mind open to grow is the day you die as a creator. And if no one said that, then I just did.
Yeah,
but I think
you just said it.
I think someone else has said that before.
Well, it's a sentiment that it like rings true.
Yeah.
There's a truth to it because it needs to be evolving.
It does.
Because
it's a
live.
living creature.
And if we go back to what we were talking about last week, where it's like the timeline between the creation and consumption, like it, for the whole of history, it was kind of immediate, and then it expanded over as TV and movies came along, and the gap became bigger, and then it's getting smaller again.
Yeah,
and social media, YouTube, and now we're live streaming.
I know. People think that's bad. Like, oh, attention spans are so short now. Well,
Yeah.
no, they're just returning back to what they're supposed to be.
Which was immediate.
I
You're
know.
like, it's almost like it's like a complete flip where you're like, on my attention span, I'm getting sucked into this short form 30-second thing. 10 seconds, oh, it's so terrible. 5 seconds, I've got no attention span. 1 second, immediate. Now my attention span is an hour.
Yeah.
I'm like watching this long live thing because it's
funny.
happening now.
It
now,
is funny.
now,
I
now,
noticed
now.
that. I noticed that because I'm like, I can go through short form and I'm just like consume. And then it's like, okay, if it's like more than this long, I'm like, I can't watch this anymore. But I do find myself when I'm watching a live, I don't feel that way unless it's like really not like appealing to me at all. But if it's entertaining, I'm watching it forever and I don't even realize how much of the time has gone by.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a blink of an eye and it's like an hour's gone by. I'm like, wow, I didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
Because I'm so consumed. Yes.
Yeah.
Instant consumption.
Yeah. So I think there is something here about finding different places where different audience exists.
Yeah, it's very important.
And training your really core audience that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like the bigger the community is, the better it is. The more you can do great stuff, the bigger you are in that way.
It's
so
true. So true.
like you can, if someone says I don't like matches, like don't worry about it. Go do it and find you're clearly a good enough streamer to get that original core. You can do it again and again.
Yes. Don't be scared.
Yeah.
Don't be scared. You did it once and you think, oh, it's so hard. Well, guess what? Every time you do something again, it's easier the next time you do it. So you just apply the things you've already, like because you've done it over and over again, you've built those reps in. It's like, it's easier for you to go to this other vertical if it were and be on there with other creators and share communities with each other. And someone else has just now discovered you that never would have seen you before. And they're like, wow. And now you've pulled someone of it and now you're growing. Like that is what it's for. And that's what it's designed for.
Our fine colleague, the Franck, always says, like, think of it, have an abundance mindset. Like there's so many viewers out there.
Yeah.
And you're not looking to take over the world. You're not looking for them all. You're not trying to be Madonna. And like, you don't need the mass market to be successful in that big way. You need a healthy slice of it. And there's so many that you can just keep finding new people.
Yeah.
And if you want to change it, we've also worked with creators who've done one version of streaming and it worked so well and they learned a lot, but it didn't really hit them in their heart, or they didn't feel it, or they didn't really want to do that, or it
didn't resonate.
Negative.
Yeah.
And they switched it and they're 10 times more successful now by completely switching it. I think it's time for question of the day.
Question of the day.
The day. This one comes from the blue community. You ready for it?
I am ready.
I'm going to hit you with it.
Hit me with it.
Is it better to have a higher viewer count, concurrent viewers, I'll translate, like the amount of viewers at a time, or a longer watch time? Discuss.
All right, let's talk about it. Because they're kind of two different things that do two different things.
Yeah, are they the two sides of the same coin, or are they completely different things? So let's talk through the logic of it.
All right, so let's say you have a high concurrent viewership. That means there's a lot of people watching.
Right, a lot of people
at the
watching.
Same time.
But if those people are all watching for just a couple of seconds at the time, there's almost no value in the watch.
Yes. So you could go and say, okay, so let's say I have 2,000 people watching, but my average watch time is around
10 seconds.
10 seconds.
Yeah. It's like, is that worth it?
Is that worth it?
Maybe.
Is that more beneficial than having, let's say, 100 people in the room or 50?
Yeah. Watching for like 3 minutes.
3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yes.
Average watch time.
I guess part of this is like, it depends, because it depends what your goal is and what you're doing at the time. If the goal is to turn people into community members, the longer the time you can have with them, the better that conversion can be.
Yeah.
So if you have a lot of people in a room, if you're not converting them back into rooms where they're watching for a decent amount of time, like extending their watch time, then it's hard to convert them into actual community members.
Right.
So it seems like watch time is more important.
Is more important. like think about it. What do networks do all the time? Like television networks, they want to know where the eyes are, like ratings. Like that's how they can tell if they're not getting enough eyes on a particular show at a certain time slot. They know that show's not doing well, so they'll cancel it.
Yeah.
So it's like and so I know that it's all about getting the eyes. So they want eyes on the longer they can get the eyes on the channel, the better.
Right.
So that makes me think that watch time is very important.
It seems like as well, it's like you consult, like when it comes to revenue as well and generating revenue from your lives, if you can have people watching for a longer amount of time, they become a much more stable base that will ultimately gift you or subscribe to you. Versus people who are watching for a very short amount of time. And you might be able to have mechanics in there that cause them to gift in the short term, but you're not really building a long, stable base. So like focusing on watch time as like a metric. Think about it. Yeah, like you said, like a television network is like, what's the watch time? How many hours are people watching? Like if there were 10 million hours worth of watch time across the same amount of creators, if that doubled, that is double the amount of time people are with the creators, and double the amount of connection that gets made.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think if you're just watching for 10 seconds, you can't really invest enough time into even get to know that community or that host of that community. So it's like, it doesn't make sense.
It's a different technique to get people hooked.
Yeah.
Your other like building a show and building something repeatable isn't as easy. It's just like quick.
Yeah.
Get in, get a gift, get out.
So I guess it depends. To answer the question on our opinion, our professional opinion is depending. If you're looking to grow a community, it's probably like most definitely watch time is more important than how many viewers you have at a time.
And you build those number of viewers
because you can always build that. Yeah, I was just going to say you can always build that up over time, especially if you've got the watch time. Your goal should be a higher watch time. So if you keep continuously growing the number of like minutes of people watching, then naturally the amount of viewers are going to be more. In the room.
Yeah, because you get then rewarded as well algorithmically. Like that is one of the signals that goes to the algorithm, like watch time. So like extending it is a healthy thing. So then you win in
both ways, but it's just, it takes more time that way. So do you want to put the time in to invest in that? Just like, do you want your community member to put the time in and watch your live stream, invest that watch time in?
Yeah. And that's the same with like e-com streams as well. It's like if you're selling things, like that watch time is really important as well. So making what is happening on screen engaging in a way that will continue over time, like that becomes incredibly important in this like swipeable world where you're fighting against attention that could go elsewhere so fast.
Yeah, that's why we always talk about like if you are like you should always talk about in the beginning of the week about a stream that's coming up at the end of the week, so that you can remind people to come back and watch again later. Because you want them to come back and watch you. So it's like, hey, don't forget to follow. So that next time you're gonna be in their feed. Then when they follow you, you're gonna get served to them, and then boom, if they're scrolling and you're on, they're gonna go right back into that room that you provided for them the last time. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. I think live streaming is kind of beautiful in that way because it's it's tied to the human interaction.
Really is. I love it.
Yeah. So if you ever do have any questions, we love taking questions here. Tara and I spend all day, every day working in live streaming, working on shows, working with creators, working with industry members. And we come and share what we're thinking and learning with you on this podcast. And it's a journey because it's constantly changing. And we like to communicate too. So you can join us on live. We go live as well through our Blue Shift Live account on TikTok. You can find us here on the podcast. And you can write to us at podcast@blueshiftcreative.com.
Yeah, we look forward to hearing from you.
Cheerio.
Bye-bye, everyone.